So this week's episode, we warmly welcome Sarah Moore, all the way from Solihull near Birmingham. And Sarah has, well, it's got quite an interesting story to tell, and it's in 3 parts as well, which we love on the podcast. So welcome, Sarah.
Hi, nice to meet you.
And you. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and how we ended up linked up.
So I am 39. I have a little boy, he's just gone 10. So perfect kind of age for starting to go on lots of holidays.
Yes.
And I found you guys actually on Instagram. I feel like the algorithm gods were listening to me one day when I'd kind of got to my lowest point with flying, and
Yeah.
you appeared on my feed, and then I went on to Spotify, and that's it. That's how it started.
Oh, cool. So how long ago was that, would you say?
So this was 2022,
Right.
and it was after a not a bad flight, a bad flight for me. I knew that I had to do something, otherwise I just wouldn't go away ever again in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so I knew something had to change.
All right. So would you mind just telling us a little bit about what your fear was like? I'm assuming that's kind of
Yeah.
past tense.
So I've always been frightened. I can't pinpoint anything that happened. I remember going on when I was 13, a German exchange, and hating every second of it. And I was a teenager then, but I can't pinpoint a reason why. I've always just had a constant fear, and it's been like almost a white knuckle, like
Right.
I will grip the seat, and I just hated it. And like I said, I can't pinpoint why. I've not had any bad flights. Like, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
apart from the one which made me kind of look for you guys, but all my life, I don't know where it's come from.
Yeah.
None of my family are afraid. My husband's not afraid. My little boy loves it. So, like, I don't know why
Yes.
I have the fear. Um, yeah.
You
So
worried about then, what did you believe about flying then?
I don't. I'll speak how I felt before. So I didn't like the taxiing. I felt anxious, so I would feel the anxiety go all the way like down to my legs, and it used to sit, and it was horrible. I did not like takeoff one bit. I didn't like basically I didn't like going up, coasting, turning, or coming down. So the whole
Right.
flight.
So all the elements of flying, basically.
Yeah. Um, I did. I was funny with being, when you feel your tummy go as you come into land. Didn't like that.
Yeah.
Um, I was just anxious the whole time, and all the noises, the different beeps, the thrust of the engine. I would be like on edge constantly. I had to look out the window constantly, look at the wing, look at like I was always on edge, trying to I mean, what am I going to do in a situation? I just had to feel like I always was kind of aware of what was going on. So I would never sleep on planes. So when we did do long haul, it's so unhealthy. I would be up all night, like
Oh, wow, yeah.
looking around. It was just totally
You're
irrational.
on duty the whole time, then, basically.
Yeah, and I tried things like Valium, where back in 2009 I tried that to fly to Chicago, and I think my anxiety took over any drug that I was taking, because it didn't do anything. And yeah, so yeah, it's always been there. I think it'll always be with me, but I'm much better at
Yeah.
managing it now.
Okay. Yeah. But and so, like, what were you like leading up to flights and stuff? Did you have anticipatory anxiety or anything like that?
Yeah, and it would start probably like 6 weeks before.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I would, in my head, I'd be like, oh, 6 weeks, I'll be on the plane. 6 weeks, we'll be landing. 6 weeks, this. And then I would dream about it. I would dream about flying. I'd dream about missing the flight. Everything was flight, 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 flight.
Yeah.
And it was just so unhealthy and bad for me. Um, and then even in the airport when you're waiting to board, I would be like, don't talk to me. Don't even look at me. So my poor husband and child, effectively he had to parent for 11 hours wherever we went, if we went long haul, because I was like, you got no chance. I've got to be,
So you just be like on duty.
just don't, I'm on my own, I'm traveling on my, don't even like talk to me or,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and that's not fair on my son really, because he wants to talk to me. But yeah, it would start weeks before, and it wouldn't end until the plane had landed and we were taxiing back to the terminal. And then I'd be like,
Right. So you'd be
a
on
few
like,
times I remember getting off and being sick because all the anxiety just came out. I significantly remember Glasgow Airport, and that was only a 45-minute flight, being sick because it had to come out somewhere.
yeah.
So yeah, mad.
Well, it's not surprising really if you're on sort of like high alert that whole time. You must be exhausted, you know. It's quite,
Yeah, and my mind was just racing, you know. And it didn't help that I didn't leave the seat. I didn't take the seatbelt off. I didn't stretch my legs. I wouldn't drink anything because I didn't want to go to the toilet. I was just, and you know, my hands would be like this on the
yeah.
armrests constantly.
So
Yes.
you were in constant high alert, sort of like or threat state, really, weren't you?
Yeah.
So I guess a couple of questions are just interesting. It's quite nice for people to understand, like where you were, you know. So did you have any sort of? So it sounded like you like the movement. Was there any sort of claustrophobia with that as well? 'Cause we got the anticipatory and glow. We just to see if we're going for the big three, you know, like
I am claustrophobic, but I don't feel claustrophobic on a plane.
interesting. Right.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable because they're not comfortable unless you're flying business. But I'm not claustrophobic.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I don't feel like that's an issue. Maybe it is at the back of my mind, but
Yeah.
thinking about it, no, I don't feel like that's
Mm.
a problem. I think for me, it's like I'm not the one flying the plane. So when you're driving a car, I'm the one driving. I can see what's going on. You know, you're relying on somebody else to take this metal tube in the air effectively and get you where you want to go. So maybe it's like a lack of control,
Yeah.
possibly. But also the fact that you're 40,000 feet in the air it's heights is a big thing as well, maybe.
Yeah. You know, it's hard to get your head around that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say I find flying fascinating, because it is fascinating how these things can go up in the air. And, you know, it's the safest mode of transport, and that blows my mind. But yeah,
Yeah.
claustrophobia is not.
Yes. How can it be? Yeah. It's like, yeah. So what about the sort of what was the impact on the kind of rest of your life in terms of this?
We never went away. We never went away. And like I have been places. Like I said, I went to Chicago in 2009 and I flew there by myself, which was mad. And we'd go, you know, I'd been to Greece with my husband like 10 years ago before we had our son.
Right.
We just never went away. And it was
Yeah.
because I couldn't do it. We then booked dream trip to Disney in Florida for 2020, August 2020. And for reasons we don't need to keep talking about 5 years ago, that kept getting pushed back. So for 18 months, I was constantly preparing for a flight.
Yeah.
So it was just horrendous. It finally got kind of agreed. I think the USA let us in the November and we went December 2021. Now, as you probably know, with Florida, it's storms. So we came into a storm. So obviously I know the wording now is different because I can apply logic, but when we were flying in the storm, we dropped, is how I would have explained it at the time. We dropped.
Yeah.
And we dropped to the point where the whole plane screamed. So of course, in my head, I'm like, right, everyone else is frightened now. My son's got his hands in the air and he's going, wee, because he loves it. And my husband, he doesn't really care about flying. Even he was like that. And, you know, we're rocking and we're moving and it's pitch black outside. There's rain going everywhere. So when we finally landed, it was all great. But then for the next 2 weeks, while I'm on like the trip of a lifetime to Disney in Florida, I'm then like, I can't go home. I can't do that again.
Yeah.
I cannot do that again. And then on the way home, it was a night flight from Orlando at 10 o'clock. Um, I was just crying the whole time. And
Yeah.
any bit of turbulence, I was just crying. Even my husband, who leaves me alone, bless him, he had to put his hand on my hand and be like, Sarah, you are okay. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. And like I said, that was a night flight. And then I'm up for 10 hours and we land early morning. So then I'm awake for another, it was just horrendous. That was the moment when I got back from that flight that I was like, something needs to change
Right.
because I can't do this. If I want to go long haul again,
Yeah.
I'll do this. And so it's specifically when we arrived back after that first Disney trip. And I knew I wanted to go back to Disney again because half of it was closed because of COVID. So I was like, I want to experience it when it's fully open. So I knew we were going to go back to Disney again at some point. And I thought, but that's when I thought something's got to change because I can't do this again.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when you found us, by the sound of it.
Yeah. So I'd never been one for like hypnotizing. I know someone that had been hypnotized and she raved about it, but I was a bit cynical. And I don't, like I said, I think the algorithm gods were on my side because as I'm scrolling, I saw, I think it was you actually. It was like it was a video and I clicked on it and it was like, come and listen to our podcast about if you're an anxious flyer. And that was it. I did some searching, found you guys, followed you guys, hit Spotify, and there was hundreds of episodes. So I literally wrote down the main things that really bothered me in a flight and found those episodes to start with. And that was it. I was off. I was noting everything.
So what was your routine then, if you like? So you, obviously you listened to the, yes, you obviously motivated because you found us and you started, but then how often did you listen to the which ones did you go for?
I would listen in the gym and I would listen on the school run. And when I went to pick my son up, you have to get there early for a parking space. So I'd have an hour to myself. I would listen to it there. Um, the ones that I found the most helpful, I think, would be the turbulence. I never knew what it was. I just knew that it felt horrible. So knowing what it was, that it's perfectly safe. Like, what else did you say in it? It was uncomfortable, not dangerous. And that's one of the things I wrote on my post-it notes. Uncomfortable, not dangerous.
Yeah.
And then it was all about it being, forgive me if I'm saying anything wrong, but about pockets of air. And actually, if the plane didn't hit pockets of air, it wouldn't. I can't remember it now. I mean, I remember
that's all right. You just keep going. We don't tend. We obviously recognise the fact that pockets of air don't exist, and that's probably one of the things that we tend to say.
Yeah.
So
I can't remember exactly now. I need to refer back to my post-its, but it was something like, having the wings bendy is good because even before I would see the wings going up and I'd be like, oh no, this is ridiculous, but it's designed to do that. They're and I heard about them being tested rigorously till they're like 90 degrees, like it's meant to be bendy. If it wasn't bendy, it wouldn't work. And there was a bit about the pilots can find where the turbulence is on a map. Didn't know that. So I then related it back. So, when you're cruising and then suddenly the engines go and you go up quickly or go down quickly, before I'd be like, oh my God, what's happening? What's going on? But I know now it's to kind of avoid turbulence. So now when I hear it and I watch the altitude on the map, I'm like, oh, we're avoiding it and stuff like that. So I think turbulence was a big thing for me.
So you put in quite a bit of effort. It sounds like you're doing like daily stuff. You've got the gym, you've got the school run, and all that.
Yeah.
So you put the time in.
Yeah, because every time I was scrolling, I was like, oh, that looks like a good episode to listen to. That and I was as I was getting through life, I was just listening to bits.
Yeah.
Another bit one there was the water. So when you're rolling around in the turbulence, you hold the water and doesn't it doesn't move much.
No.
And then the best one I like is that I think it was to do with the pilots. Is the cockpit's designed not to move as much as the back of the plane? I think am I getting that right?
There's so many of them now.
Yeah.
Said it.
There was a bit that it said the pilots are actually probably giggling at at everyone in the back rocking around with the turbulence because they're like chilling in the cockpit that isn't moving. So I always like to think of that they're probably chatting away, while we're rocking in the back.
Yes.
And another thing was as well with the turbulence. So when I say that we dropped in Florida, that I'm talking how I would before I found the podcast. Yeah. And it was, you were explaining how, when you go up and down, if you imagine you're going 500 miles an hour and you drop 100 feet, you're not actually dropping, if that makes sense, but it feels like you are, but you're just going like from here to here, but quickly. Yeah. And obviously planes don't drop now, I know that. So that kind of applied the logic in my brain. So yeah, the post-it notes really helped me, and I still have them. They go on every flight.
Yeah. So tell us about the post-it notes, because I saw the little picture of those. So
yeah.
How many have you got? And so you said a couple of things that you've got on them. So tell us the rest, if you don't mind giving away your secret.
6, and I can't really remember now. So I've got bendy wings are good. Hold water for turbulence, and then uncomfortable, not dangerous, which that's my favorite one. Whenever we're going through it, I will close my eyes and I'll repeat that constantly to myself. There's a bit I can't remember what I've put on my post-it note, but about the drop I mentioned. So you're going at 500 miles an hour, but you're going from here to here. So that it again, the logic. I can't remember the other ones.
So what do you do with these? Do you have them like on your table in front? How does it work?
I was putting them on my screen because another tip for me is I don't watch the films or play the games. I have the altitude on and the map on for the whole flight. I like to know. Yeah, but I think it's helpful for me.
Okay.
Especially when I can see, we're going up or we're going down, because I know that we're trying to avoid turbulence or whatever. So it's boring for me on long haul. But
Mummy's watching crap TV again.
My son's fine. We fly with BA, so he's on Angry Birds the whole time. Right. He doesn't care. But no, I like to see the map and the altitude. They have lost their stickiness now, so I've taken a picture and I'll go onto my phone and look at it and refocus. And as long as I'm kind of in the zone and talking myself through things, it's a lot more comfortable. So
how long would you say that process took from, getting like, I'm not going to do this again, or I'm looking for these lot to a point? How long,
So we landed back from the first Florida trip, January 2021. And then we didn't go anywhere because of COVID for a while after that, but our next Florida trip was March last year. So from January 2021 till March 2024. I think that was a mixture of COVID, though. We didn't want to go anywhere for a few years. But it also I had to retrain my brain. And that took a while. And I think because when we flew out to Florida the second time, there was obviously no COVID restrictions. So that was a lot more pleasant. I wasn't spending 18 months thinking about a flight. I started to up the podcast again, and I was repeating the episodes that I wanted to repeat. So it was totally ingrained in my brain.
Yes.
And it was pleasant. It was pleasant. Like and I kept thinking, let's prepare for landing in a storm, because if I don't, it's a bonus. And it was beautiful. The flight was beautiful. It was, I don't even remember turbulence on that flight. And I remember getting there and feeling a bit emotional, like, oh my God, it's fine. It's fine. And coming back.
People at this point, by the way, we get anxious or worried that they're not worried. But so let's just rewind a little bit. So you did a load of work. What was the sort of anxiety before? You know, people tend to call it anticipatory. How was that?
So it was still there. I wouldn't say it was 6 weeks
Mm.
like it had been. I would say it was probably a week before.
Okay,
Um,
so that's an improvement, then, isn't
yeah, 100%. And it's still like that now. So that's definitely an improvement. I think
it?
there was a mixture of more excitement. Where can I do this? How, if I do this, I can go anywhere.
Yeah.
I can keep, we can finally go holidays that I've been avoiding for so many years. Um, I do remember taxiing, and I can remember feeling the anxiety in my legs like I normally do. But we went up, we took off, we went up, and then my first kind of mental relaxed checkpoint is the seatbelt lights coming off. Because then the cabin crew up and about, and it's fine, they're
Yeah.
walking around, it's fine. I still don't take the seatbelt off, but
Yeah.
everybody else is fine. So I then broke it down. So because it's obviously a 10-hour flight, I'm like, right, when we get over halfway over, I don't know what ocean it is, the Atlantic, that's another mental checkpoint. When we hit land the other side,
Yes.
America, that's another checkpoint. And I was counting it down, breaking it down.
And so, do you pre-plan these, or are these just sort of things that you have in there?
Oh no, I pre-plan it.
Oh, right.
I'm like, right, every 3 hours I want to check where we are, and especially like flying over water, I'm like, right, where are we?
Yeah.
This certain amount of things I need to think about.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I remember we had 6 minutes to land, and I was thinking, I've just got 6 minutes. 6 minutes is all I've got. And it was actually nice to look out. We landed in the daytime this time, which was totally different.
Yes.
See, and there was no storm, so it was actually nice to look out and see. I'd never looked out before. I'd be like, just focused, like it's the same as.
Quite some shifts then, really, in your behaviours, isn't there?
Yeah, I knew I needed logic. I needed the
Mm.
logic, and I needed someone that knew what they were talking about. It's all well and good. My husband or my father-in-law saying, it's fine, you'll be fine. Like I don't need that. I needed someone to explain all the noises that happen that make me worried, and you know, oh, ridiculous things like what happens if one engine goes? What happens if two engine goes? What happens? I know that you can glide for a bit, and you always buy an airport if you're flying over land. Like, I needed that logic to help me.
Mm.
Um, and on the way back from the second Florida trip, I slept, which I have never done in my
What?
whole life. I had a full 40 minutes. I sound like Will Ferrell and Elf, but I had a full 40 minutes. And it was hilarious. I remember thinking, oh my God, I've slept for hours. And
Who's been watching the flight mat?
I looked and I'm still on the flight mat. We're still in American airspace. But I'd slept. It was
That is amazing. When's the last time you did
relaxed.
that?
I've never slept.
Never slept. Wow.
Nope, never
Wow,
slept.
that's good, isn't it? Crikey.
And then because I'd got a full 40 minutes, I was so excited. It was like 2 a.m. at this point, or whatever it was when we were still flying. So everyone else is asleep, and I'm like buzzing that I've slept 40 minutes.
Wait,
Tried to, yeah, I was really proud of myself.
yeah. Did you drink? Go to the loo? Why, these are personal questions.
No,
So,
no,
no.
and I try not to now.
Mm.
To be fair, we went to Los Angeles in February half term, um, and it was a daytime flight, so I had to go to the toilet. Like at nighttime, I can just kind of like ignore it, but I had to on the way there, and it's fine. It's not. I don't like it. Maybe that's the claustrophobia thing, being in the plane toilet. But I'm in, out, back in the seatbelt on tight,
Yeah.
back into kind of airplane.
Well, there's also, you could look at it, there's a bit of logic there. You think you didn't like a lot of movement, and you weren't a fan of turbulence. And so you know that, in your mind, you've gone, okay, all right, I've done something about that. But, whilst you're up and about, then you're not strapped in your seat, are you? So there is some
maybe
logic there, isn't there?
and maybe that's like my next step. How can I
Mm.
be more comfortable with walking around? Because I need to stretch my legs.
Yeah.
It's important. I do stand up really quickly, stretch my calves, and then put the seatbelt back on.
Yeah.
Like, but it's not. I think when we're starting to do more long haul now, so I do think that's my next.
Yeah.
Can I get up and just walk around the cabin? Can I be all right with that? Yeah. So maybe that's my next
I agree.
progression.
But, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not worried about turbulence. But when I get up on an aircraft and go to the loo or just go for a walk, I am aware that, we could get a wobble and we'd only have to. So, I think it's quite rational to sort of think like that. So I don't, I didn't used to think like that. But then listening to you lot for years, this can't put that in my head now. I'm like, oh, I suppose that is possible. Although it's exceptionally rare, it's still quite, it is a thought process. I think I could fall over or something can happen, so, but I think there is some sort of, we saw that working out what's helpful, not helpful. I mean, obviously most of the time it's super smooth, isn't it? But
yeah, I think I'm quite clumsy anyway. So me walking up and not, I don't like swaying. It's the same as if you're in a coach on the motorway and you're swaying. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I feel much safer in my own head if I'm sat and strapped in. And I have to, my other tip is I have to sit by the window. My poor son, he never gets to see any of it because I'm just like, nope, no chance.
What's that about then?
I like to see, which is weird because I'm frightened of it, but I like to just look out and make sure we're again, what am I going to do? But I like to see that everything's okay, and I like to see that the wings are going, and if there is turbulence, like everything outside looks fine. Like I think it's a visual thing, and especially takeoff and landing now. I look out now because I like to.
Well, this is good. These are all progress. It's all progress,
And when we turn, you take off and you turn, most of the time you turn. That's quite, sometimes I'm a bit like, oh, but I like to look and just focus on the ground or the motorway below or whatever. And the same for coming into land. I will try and focus on things and, oh, that's a nice house. That's a nice thing. And it just helps.
I think it does, because you're I think as soon as you're curious and you do like the active thing rather than the avoiding thing, you're probably more in that kind of logical part of your brain rather than the sort of the frightened bit,
Yeah.
But there is some sense to what you're saying.
Yeah. Like I said, logic was all I needed to help me. And funny enough, when we flew to LA, there wasn't a medical emergency, but some woman kept being sick, like constantly, and she needed oxygen. So I was thinking, oh my God, again, we're going to have to divert, I think we still had 6 hours left at this point. We were over America, but we still had 6 hours left. And I was thinking, oh my God, how do I cope with another landing, then another taking off, and then how do I figure this out? And so I was like fixated on her for about 3 hours. The poor woman was all over the place. And then they made, is there a doctor on board? Announcements. So in my head, I'm like, oh my God, no. Like selfishly, obviously I wanted her to be fine, but selfishly I was like, please no. Can we just get there? And the doctors went after about an hour. So that killed an hour. I'm kind of focusing. She's on the row next to me. And then the pilot comes out, one of the pilots come out. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, we're in like real danger territory here. The pilots come out. So I'm thinking, okay, prepare to divert somewhere. It'll be fine. I can cope with another takeoff, landing, whatever. And she was fine. We made it to LA. The paramedics came and got her. She looked, bless her, she looked like death, but she was fine. But that was fine. And I think talking myself through it, if there had been a diversion, I think I'd have been fine because I'd have been like, it's fine. We're just going here. It's a little detour, blah, blah, blah. And again, flying back from LA, it was a night flight. We had turbulence, and it was bad enough that they asked the cabin crew to sit down. So again, I'm like, right, well, this is the worst thing that's happened to me on a flight. The fact that they said cabin crew, she called it severe turbulence. So I'm like fully mentally prepped there. My eyes are closed. I'm talking to myself, and it was uncomfortable. We were really jolting, and we were up, and I could feel it in my tummy. and it's dark outside, so you can't see a thing.
Yeah.
So that to me was the worst thing that's happened to me on a plane. It was probably worse than the Florida incident. So, but then looking back now, if that was severe, that's fine. It lasted for about an hour. So again, really uncomfortable.
Yeah. So it was moderate.
To me, severe is what you see on the news when things are getting thrown, you hit, everything.
Yeah, severe is not
severe to me.
Is well, there's like clear classifications for it, but sometimes the cabin crew will. There's a lot of debate around this, but severe is normally very short, because it's like a temporary, like, oh, what was that?
Oh, okay.
But people use the terminology all over the place. But IATA is pretty clear on what it's about, so you can look it up if you want to. Go to IATA site. But what you had sounds like moderate, and moderate is not the right word for it because it's not very pleasant. So moderate is when they sit the cabin crew down, and so
Oh, okay. Yeah, looking back now, I was thinking, well, I've just survived severe turbulence. Like,
yeah, I don't want to diminish because
yeah, no,
it's not fun, and if you're in it for a long time, it's very uncomfortable and can make you feel quite nauseous and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you these are all normal human things. It's the same if you're on a train that's like rocking about a bit, So they're just, but you've done it,
Yeah, and
You know what I mean?
like I said, talking to myself constantly through it. I did at one point be like, oh, God, please give me a break. Can't keep going. Like I said, I think it was about 45 minutes, best part of an hour.
That's not much fun.
It was
I was a bit annoyed as well. The crew would be like, "Oh, get on with it."
But then I felt the engine thrusts, and then I saw the altitude go up, so I knew we were avoiding. And then the best thing ever was that it was smooth, and I slept hours and hours and hours.
What?
Yeah, slept hours and hours and hours. It was
Hey.
I've actually missed a flight because I went to Cape Town in October and slept. But the LA flight was the longest I've slept, so it was like an hour, and I'd wake up and be like, I've got an hour, but I'm still tired. I'll try again. Then it'd be another hour. I'm okay, great. I've slept 2 hours. Am I going to be buzzed and wired now? But no, I'm still tired. Oh, and then I remember waking up. It was light outside. People were putting their shutters up, and I could smell breakfast. So I knew we were 2 hours from Heathrow. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, there's only 2 hours left now. Like, quick, get up, stretch my legs.
Yeah.
Have a stretch, and that was it. So yeah, that was the most I've ever slept. I'd probably say about 5 hours on an 11-hour flight.
That's brilliant.
Like,
I can't do that on a lot of the flight. I just get too restless. It's really impressive.
It's uncomfortable. I think that's why I kept waking up. Because we were economy. But I have got like a foot hammock, and I've got a proper neck pillow, so I do try.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fact that I can relax to a point where I can sleep, that's massive for me.
That's massive for anyone. That's amazing.
Absolutely massive. And yeah, like I couldn't believe it myself. And now when we're going transatlantic, I pick night flights on purpose because I'll stay.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Exhaust myself.
Absolutely avoid them,
Oh no, I think if I can pass time by sleeping where I'm relaxed enough to sleep, and I can pass the time on a long haul flight, yeah, 100%. I'd pick it over a day flight now, because on a day flight I'm still quite in the zone and looking out the window and looking around, but if I can sleep, yeah, I can.
Okay, so how have you done that then?
Logic. Like I said, I just needed someone to give me logic. I'd always heard that it was like the safest mode of transport, but there was too many things that were in my head at once that could go wrong, that never go wrong. But I just needed someone knowledgeable to say, right, this noise is from this feeling is this. So like, the takeoff when you're like here and you feel it dropping and you think, oh my God, we're falling out the sky. You're not. It's just the engines changing because they can't be on full thrust. Like, that is the most simple thing.
Yeah.
But it stopped me like looking around to see if anyone else is panicking, thinking the plane's falling out of the sky. Like it's the most simple thing. Um, and silly things like when you're going full speed down the runway and you can feel the bumps, but it's the wheels on the middle of the runway, so you know you're dead center in the runway. The pilot's doing his job, and when you stop feeling them, the chances are the nose is up and you're going up. So silly things like that. I know exactly when we're going up. I know when it feels like you're sinking, it's just the engine's changing.
Yeah.
I know that when the seatbelt light comes off, it think everyone's like, it's okay. Everybody can get up and move. Like, it's pure logic for me. I know as well, like that. For example, worst case scenario, one of the engine goes, the other engine's fine. It can get us to another airport.
Yeah.
You're never too far from an airport. I know that if 1 in 5 million both engines go, you can glide for, I can't remember how many miles, 200, is it something like that?
Yeah,
You're
it
fine.
depends how high you are, but yes, it's
Yeah, you're effectively in a glider at that point. I know the plane can fly itself. You don't really need a pilot. Like, no, I need a pilot. I need a logical pilot.
I still like some to be upbeat. Yeah. I just there'll come a point where I'm sure they'll drop. Not yet. But I imagine in the future they might have single pilot operations or even.
Yeah. Whether I'll do that, I don't know.
Well,
But
I don't know if that'll be in our lifetime, but it's
possibly not.
it's I definitely think that will go that. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people I talk about it is a case of when. It's not if. It's just like at some point that probably will happen. You know that.
Yeah.
But
The
I
fact
was
that
I feel like
for-
having at least two
yeah.
pilots. Yeah, I like.
I was going to say, like the fact that there's someone that knows exactly what they're doing. That was again logic for me. Just someone to tell me that this means this and that means that, and you're fine. Like you're fine. I don't, like I said before, I don't think the fear will ever go. I don't think it'll ever go, but it's so manageable now.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like crikey.
Yeah, it's
It's just huge strides, haven't you? You had to sleep on an aircraft and not be on duty the whole time. That's just massive, isn't it?
that is massive. And since I found you guys, I've done Florida again. We did Seville, which is only a 2 hour flight, but again, I napped on that flight because it was at stupid o'clock in the morning, so I was tired.
Yeah.
I did Cape Town.
Yeah.
By myself as well. I went to watch my sister play hockey, but I didn't go with my husband and son. Would never in a million years have done that before. I was like, no, I need, even though they're not allowed to talk to me for 11 hours, I need them next to me. So that was a big thing, flying by myself.
Yeah.
Like, we.
So what about now if you fly with them? Can you talk to them?
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd rather sleep. Yeah, but I get it.
I'd rather focus a bit. So I will have a little chat, and I do play Angry Birds with my son.
Yeah.
Because he loves it. And yeah, I'm much more pleasant to be around on a plane now. And he's still got no chance of sitting next to the window because that's my safe space.
Yeah.
And he did ask, we're going to Paris in the summer. And he said, can I sit by the window? And I want to be able to be like, yeah, because it's only an hour flight, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether I'll have it in me. Maybe as I fly more and I.
I mean, I can't see why not. I mean, the progress that you've made, I think nothing is going to get in your way. I think it's just as much as you're prepared to chip away at it because you've done so much.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is: chipping away, keep going, and see where we can go from there. When we went to LA just now, we went to Vegas as well, so we did 4 flights in 7 days. That's just unheard of. I mean, it was only a 40-minute flight to Vegas from LA, but that's. I didn't do 4 flights in 20 years before. Like it was just unheard of. And again, that was pleasant. Like everything was pleasant. And I can talk to my son now on takeoff, which before would never happen. I'd be like, oh, Ellis, can you see that house? Or can you see this in the sky or whatever? So
that's amazing.
that's nice that he hasn't cottoned on that, I was petrified. It hasn't gone, and it hasn't passed on to him either. Like,
No. That's amazing, Sarah. Honestly, that's just, you've done so much, haven't you? We
I know, yeah.
come so far, excuse the pun. So so if you had to then sort of sum up, here's someone's at the place where you were and you want to go, right, here's the Sarah Moore approach to overcome your fear of flying. What were those steps? What would you say that people should do?
So I will always advocate for logic, applying logic to everything, but I talk to myself a lot. So I will, if ever struggling, I will close my eyes, I will put my hands on the armrest, and I'll be talking to myself. So turbulence, it's uncomfortable, it's not dangerous, it's uncomfortable, it's not dangerous, you're fine. Planes are designed for this, and it's like a meditation, I suppose. It's a lot of reinforcement, and again, positive reinforcement. When there's a land, I'm like, fantastic, amazing, well done. Pat myself on the back. Every time I sleep for an hour, well done. Like, can you do another hour? Pushing myself, testing myself. When the turbulence was bad on the way back from LA, like when it became smooth, I was like, oh my God, you've done it. I mean, at that point, I was like, oh my God, you've survived severe turbulence. As the cabin crew called it, you can do anything. If you can survive severe turbulence, you can do anything. Like, keep patting yourself on the back. And my big thing was, if I don't fly, I don't see anywhere. So it's forcing myself to do it. So I can go and see the world. I've been in the last few years, I've been to Florida twice. We've done LA. I've been to Cape Town. We're going to New York in October. We're doing Tokyo next year. Like, all these places, I wouldn't have gone because the fear was too bad.
That is remarkable. You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable that you've been able to do that, and you've done it all yourself.
Yeah. With you guys' help as well. I'm just so glad I scrolled down that day and found you, because there's no way I would have done it without help. But there's still a long way to go for me. I think I've got to be comfortable walking around, standing up, going to the toilet. I have to be comfortable because it's not healthy to sit down for 11 hours on a plane. So there's always ways I can improve. And even things like sleeping a bit longer, 5 hours is still great on a 11-hour flight, but can I try and sleep through instead of waking up every 40 minutes to check the time and check the altitude? Can I watch a film? Can I take the map off the screen? Can I play the games? Can I plug my headphones in and listen to that's always the next thing for me. I don't, and the only way to do that is by keep going on flights and see the next step. So yeah,
amazing.
There's way more episodes of the podcast for me to get through as well. So I'm not even through a quarter of them. So there's so much more I can learn. Yeah, so many, and it covers everything. It's insane. But there's way more I can teach myself. There's way more logic that I can get. To help me sleep through, to help me get up and stretch my legs and stand for 10 minutes. I saw so many people stand.
I've no doubt in my mind, Sarah, the amount of progress you've made, and you're one of these people I meet. I think, you'll do all those things. I mean, whether you'll ever get to the point where you absolutely just don't even think about it at all, I don't know. But anything's possible. But you've just made such massive leaps. It's amazing.
I don't think, like I said, I don't think that it will ever leave me. But I don't have the anxiety going all through my body on takeoff now. I still have the little bit of when we've landed, like a little bit, but it's, I'm not throwing up in the airport toilet anymore.
Which Glasgow appreciates.
Glasgow can appreciate. So like I said, it will still always be there. It's a fear. Like it's a fear, and it's ingrained in me, but it's totally manageable now. And I can go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, when I listened to that thing, you've had a very well practiced fear, and now you've been practicing being less fearful, and you've got like two roads in front of you almost. Haven't you? Like got a kind of the old path that'll always be a fearful to go down if you want to, but you're very much on a different route here. I mean,
And I'll always have those episodes as well. So the ones, I know.
Which ones can you remember the numbers or the names on them? Because some people quite like to recommendations.
No, I can't remember. But I can find them and message you. I've got them on my Spotify. The best part for me is that it stops with me. Like my son will not be scared of flying. He's just going to find flying. You just get on a plane and you go on holiday. So that was a big thing for me. I can't have him seeing me crying my eyes out and sobbing on a plane for 10 hours. He's just going to start worrying and then it carries on. So that's
I love that.
the best thing for me. It stops with me. Like flying doesn't scare him. He likes takeoff. He said to me from LA, he really likes takeoff. And then I felt bad because I was like, oh, poor kid never gets to look out the window on takeoff.
Yeah. Because
I'm hogging the window. But I've started getting my phone now and filming it so you can see it. At the moment, that's next step. Maybe Paris in the summer.
You think how much you've done, it's possible.
Maybe Paris in the summer I will relinquish control and he can have a window seat. It's an hour. I'm sure I could cope.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the one that I get up and walk around. It's literally an hour, less than an hour to Paris. Maybe then I walk up and down once and walk up and down twice.
Yeah.
It's with EasyJet, so it's not a big plane. It's not like BA where there's lots of people and it's a bit intense. It's a smaller plane.
So we want to hear about this. So I don't know if you're in the Facebook group or not, but
I'm not on Facebook, but I'll definitely share the success stories.
So yeah, please do. Yeah,
I will.
I think it's it's just people. So just to sort of like we'll close out. Just thank you for being a regular listener, but also for sharing your story and giving your time today. And I hope that people, when they listen, will be very sort of encouraged by it because of where you were, and also you're not professing to be perfect or all the rest of it. But you've made some tremendous progress. It's one of those kind of, in a very low key kind of way. It's a very if we were less English, we might high five or something like that. It's just very, very amazing what you've done. Very amazing. What was that phrase? It's just incredible what you've achieved, and to be able to sleep and I don't know. These are just
talk to my child. Yeah.
Amazing.
I've said for a few times without being dramatic, it's changed my life. It really has, because there's no way I would have gone. I wouldn't have even gone short haul. Like the fear was that bad.
Yeah.
And it's changed everything now. Like I can't stop looking for holidays. I can't stop looking for flights. I'm obsessed with air miles because I want to go places. Like it's changed everything. And every time I am on social media, like Threads or Instagram, and I see someone say, anybody got any tips for fear of flying? And I just tag you and everything. I'm like, you've got to go on Spotify and listen to these guys because if it helps, it really helps.
Yeah.
And the logic is just exactly what someone like me needed. But I will always rave about you guys because it's changed everything. So well done to you guys.
Thank you very much.
No, you're welcome.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. That was really good. And it's a really nice stuff. And I think this podcast, this episode, will be very encouraging for people, just sort of hear where you were, where you've got to. It just gives hope. And hope's really important because it's, sometimes it's very easy to lose it. And people who are scared, have anxiety, can often write themselves off or give themselves quite a hard time. And you've just shown what's possible, doing what you do, and listening to things whilst you're going about your normal routine. And so it's not like you've had to
invest hours and hours and sit at a desk and listen.
No, it's really,
and it's easy to listen to. Yeah, it's a really easy podcast to listen to. It's not like I said, you can do it on the school run and do it at the gym. It's so easy to listen to and to take everything in that they say. It honestly, it's a really, really good podcast.
Oh, thank you. That's
No,
it. No, that's it. Go retire. Doesn't get you there.
Well, it might do when I can stand up on a plane and then I'm telling everyone how I
Yeah, come back, part 2.
yeah
Went to the toilet, stood up on the plane. Oh,
had a drink on the plane.
Exactly, have a drink. I didn't sit by the window for a long flight. I sat without waking up and checking
know.
altitude the time.
I know.
I mean, I don't think you're that far away from all those things, actually, joking aside. But yeah, well done.
Give it a few years, I will be there. I hope I didn't waffle too much.
Not at all, no. No, that's
Okay,
really good. Thank you. And it's so lovely to meet you, Sarah. Thank you for your kind words, and keep up the great work, because you won't, like I always say this, you won't meet them, but your podcast episode will inspire people, and you'll probably never know. So thank you.
I hope so.
I will.
Can you message me when it's
Yeah,
going to go out? Because I'll send it to everyone that will listen.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Sarah.
Thank
Lovely
you.
to meet you.
And you.
Thank you so much for your kind words and being an avid follower of it. And yeah, just keep up the great work. Amazing stuff.
I will do. And thank you for all the effort, because it's been brilliant. So I'm really grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye-bye.
Bye.